Well, it's Friday. You know what that means. It's time for another Peacemaker episode recap. Let's get into it. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome back into JC's Movies, where you can see all kind of movie and TV show news with me here, JC, especially if you're a fan of comedy, horror, and definitely the superhero genre, particularly the DC universe. We'll be covering that extensively here on the JC's Movies channel as we continue with our Peacemaker episode recaps, about to dive into our recap for episode 4. But before we get there, just a quick reminder, if you would take a second, hit that thumbs up button, help us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm. That way this can find other fans of the Peacemaker series, the DCU, and movies like yourself. And if you haven't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Get these videos directly into your feed. I'll be bringing you these Peacemaker recaps every Friday. And like I said, we'll be covering the DCU as it continues to unfold under James Gunn's watch. Appreciate you guys as always. And no further ado, let's talk about the episode. All right, Peacemaker, Season 2, Episode 4. Need I say door, with our plot MacGuffin kind of being the briefcase that Peacemaker has in this episode, which of course leads to him being able to move the portals, is what we find out. And of course he needs doors to cover up where he puts the portals. So funny enough, they throw door in the title there, the nice pun there on the phrase need I say more. But of course written by James Gunn, as I believe all the episodes will be. This one directed by Peter Sollett, and in this one it really moves the plot forward yet again. And what I could say I'm really loving about season 2 thus far is, and I don't remember if season 1 was this way. I probably should have went back and did a rewatch of season 1 before I watched season 2. But every episode ended on a cliffhanger is such a nice touch. And I love that we're getting deeper into the season, because I think it was James Gunn saying like episode was 6 and 8 are super important or something like that. There was a couple that he was really highlighting, and we're almost there now. And I think I can see where it's, building up to where you can get to that important level here with episode 4, where you got a lot of our characters now in compromising positions here at the end of this episode. A lot of stakes involved for each individual character, really, when you look at it and break it down. So I think another great job by James Gunn writing this thing out. But breaking down this episode, I think first of all, we get to start it off with the flashback, back to when Peacemaker's dad and him and his brother were kids, and when they found this alien creature when they were hunting in the woods, and his dad shot it and killed it. And then they see what we now know is the portal thing that's of course in his dad's house, and we see Peacemaker, Chris, find a little silver briefcase thing, and we would come to find out later in the episode that that's what he uses to move the portals, and they've done it twice, because of course the portal was in the woods. He had took that briefcase with them when they left, and I guess then moved it to their trailer, he said, and then of course they ended up moving it to their dad's house or whatever. I think there was another time they had to move it. So in this one, when we left off last episode, we knew that that's where we were kind of coming to, because after starting off with that flashback, we pick up right where we left off in the last episode, where Chris has just come back to the main dimension, and we know that Argus is on their way there to storm the house, kill Eagly. They've got Michael Rooker there as, what was the character's name? Red St. Wild, the Eagle Hunter. Some funny comedy moments with that. One of my favorite ones is who was it? Was it Sasha Bordeaux's character? I think Rodriguez in Argus called him Wild Bill Suckcock instead of Wild Bill Hickok. Some really great one-liners in this show as always, for sure. But they're on their way there. Chris, of course, in there essentially stuck waiting on him, and we're wondering how the hell is he going to get out of this. And it's Economos, of course, sending him a text, kind of without looking, I guess, like texting with the phone in his pocket potentially. We don't really see how he's doing it, but we can tell that it's something like that, because all the words are messed up. It takes Chris a second to figure it out, and then he's like, oh, we got to get the hell out of here. Tries to go out the back door, has to lead Eagly out with a piece of bologna. Gets out just in time as they're knocking down the front door, but before the Argus agents run around to the back to keep him in. So he's running, ends up fighting the Hot Cheeto guy. Can't remember what the hell's that character's name. The Hot Cheeto guy, Judo Master. Fuck yeah, I can't remember his name from season 1. He's back now. He ends up having to fight him. Wins that fight, and of course, while that's going on, you got Michael Rooker's character, Red St. Wild, and Economos together as he's hunting Eagly. He gets Eagly in his sights, about to kill him, and Economos knocks him over. He hits his head on a rock. He ends up forgetting what happened. He tells him there was another eagle. He goes into a wild story that's pretty funny about primal eagle or some shit like that. Eagle prime. I don't know what the fuck he was calling it, but anyway, so Chris gets away essentially at that point. And so with him gone, they now know that the portal's in the house though still, and they know, Economos can pick the lock. So Economos is about to pick the lock. He says he has to go out to the car to get his tools or whatever while he's out there. Calls Chris and tells him, I'm about to have open this portal and shit. They're making me pick this lock. And Chris is like, hold on just a minute, because he's in the car with Adebayo and Eagly, and they're heading to another location where we find out he's going to try and move the portal, which is another house in something Hills, I think was the name of the area that it's in. Can't remember right off. But anyway, so Economos stalls just enough. They get the portal moved. Crazy ass explosion to move the portal. Vigilante ends up showing up with the doors, but they open the closet, and it's just a closet at that point by the time that they get the lock picked. So they call Frank Grillo Sr., let him know. He's pissed, thinking, what do we do now? How do we get Peacemaker? Quick thinking, says, let's get Harcourt involved. He says, call Amelia Harcourt. So, or find out where she lives or whatever. And he shows up at her house, and we know that she's been doing the bar fight shit again, because it's just showing that in this episode, calling back to episode 1 when she was doing that. So she's still been doing that. We find out in this episode she's down on her luck, behind on her utility. Shit's about to get shut off. And basically when Frank Grillo shows up, it's to tell her, she is blackballed or black booked, whatever the term is that they use, which basically means she can't be hired again ever by any governmental agency. And he's like, I got a solution for that though. He's like, you bring us Peacemaker, and you can get back in our good graces or whatever. So she's stuck between a rock and a hard place, as I'm talking about with our characters here at the end of this one. And Chris, of course, is, loves Harcourt, right? That's one thing we know about Chris. So they text and set up a meet. And then that's kind of where this thing leaves off, man. Is Chris heading towards that meet? We know Harcourt's heading towards that meet. Tells him to bring more than the couple people there at Argus. And Frank Grillo says, the whole team's coming or whatever, something to that extent. So that's where the cliffhanger leaves off on this one. Chris traveling, going to meet Harcourt, maybe to be captured. And then I don't know what we're going to find out about the other dimension. I think that's something interesting angle here too I want to talk about before we wrap up, because something's going to come out about that other dimension, because it seems far too perfect. Chris loves it too much. I do like Adebayo's theory in this episode that, what if it's actually not another dimension? It's, something you go there and it gives you everything you ever wanted or something, and entices you, and, for some nefarious reason. I don't know. That's a theory. There's been other theories floating around online. I'm anxious to see what's up with that other dimension. I'm sure we're going to find out in the near future in one of these upcoming episodes. But next episode, we got to find out what's about to happen here. Is Harcourt really going to, set him up essentially, or are we going to see Harcourt and Peacemaker fight off a bunch of Argus agents and shit? I don't know. I don't know which way it's about to go. It's interesting the way they've set this up. A lot of different, character dynamics. And let's not forget, they weren't really in this episode, in the flashback, the real ones were, but in the other dimension, we still got Peacemaker's dad and Peacemaker's brother. And, they're probably wondering where the hell he went. And we know that he's been, on pills and stuff. So they're probably thinking it's something like that and shit. So there's also some drama unfolding in that universe as well, even if there's not necessarily anything specifically off about that dimension like I'm theorizing, but I think there will be. But we're going to find out soon, guys. I really like this episode, pushed the plot forward a lot. All our characters in compromising situations right now, and still funny as hell as ever. We get some good moments from Tim Meadows' character, Phil Flurry, again. I've loved him since he came in, almost spitting in his face in this episode when he called him Ginger Cool. That's timely, right, with the spitting going on in the NFL and college football games in recent weeks. But funny episode yet again. Great, cliffhanger yet again, and I'm so anxious to get to next Thursday, watch the next one, and come back and talk with you guys, bring you guys another recap here on the JC's Movies channel. Hope you guys are enjoying these as much as I'm enjoying bringing them to you, and as much as I'm enjoying Peacemaker Season 2. Another solid episode in the books as we continue to cover the DCU here on JC's Movies. But those are just my thoughts on this episode. I would love to hear yours. Be sure to drop them down in the comments. Appreciate those interactions as I continue to try and grow the JC's Movies channel here on YouTube. And you've been a big part of that if you're watching this video and you've been watching these Peacemaker recaps. I'll keep them coming for you every Friday, and I appreciate you continuing to watch them, and I will catch you on the next one.